we'll go ahead and begin with Coach Minary entering his 15th season here at LSU. He also enters the year as the winningest active coach in NCAA Division I baseball. Coach Minary.
Well, once again, a first for the last calendar year. How much I miss having you all here today so we could provide a nice lunch for you and get a chance to say hello to you all individually. But as we've had to make a habit out of doing, we're adapting and doing the best we can with everything. So you guys are a little bit more used to these press conferences on Zoom than I am with the other sports. But it's good to be with everybody. Today's an exciting day, to say the least. It's a beautiful day. Chamber of Commerce Day, as my good friend Jordy Holberg just told me. We're going to have a beautiful day to get everything done that we want to get done. We're going to simulate February 19th as best we can with our pregame batting practice, pregame infield, scrimmage game. We've got all three flags up out behind center field. The players will be in game uniforms for the first time. We'll have umpires. The field will be lined like it would be on a game day, and hopefully the guys will respond well and be excited about being out there, and then it'll take a little bit of the nerves away from what they normally would feel on opening day, which is February 19th against the Air Force Academy. So we're excited. I'm thrilled about the way our team is looking thus far. It's been well chronicled. We have a very veteran pitching staff. You know, we lost Eric Walker and we lost Cole Henry from last year's team, but I believe that Jaden Hill has the capability of stepping in and picking up for Cole Henry as a big-time starting pitcher. I think we're going to see him continue to improve as the season goes on. Obviously, Landon Marceaux and A.J. Labas give us a veteran rotation. And then we've got so many guys coming out of the bullpen that have had experience with us and done a tremendous job. And when you add that to some of the young freshman pitchers, the pitching staff, it gives us so much to be excited about. Position player-wise, we're probably as young as our pitchers are veteran, but that's not scaring me at all because I think we have a very talented group of position players, and I'm excited about them. And as the season goes on and the more experience that they gain, I just believe that they're going to continue to get better and better. And I just think our team is primed to be one of the top teams in the SEC. The SEC is going to be as tough as it's ever been, if not tougher, because so many schools like us have had players return or not get drafted because of the shortened draft. And so the talent level in the SEC is going to be extreme. I'm not sure how many first-round pitchers are going to come out of the SEC, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're, a third of the first round is SEC pitchers or position players. So it's going to be an exciting season. Today is 3 weeks from opening day, and we got 3 weeks to get everything tightened up a little bit and get ready to start our non-conference segment of our schedule. Without any more comments, I'll be happy to start taking questions.
All right, you guys are free to ask some questions. You go ahead and unmute yourself. Sorry, I can't say that.
Bill, are we a go?
We are.
Okay. Coach, David from Rivals.com. Coach, I have two questions. One, in regards to Jaden Hill. Over the last 2 years, how have you learned better to manage his arm to where he can be the kind of player you want, come end of SEC play and into the postseason? And then my other one is about Dylan Cruz. How do you manage expectations with him being a highly touted freshman, or you just let him just come in and do his thing?
Well, let's talk about Jaden first, David, okay? When Jaden was in high school up in Arkansas, he played third base a lot and pitched. He told me he hardly ever threw a bullpen session when he was in high school. So all of a sudden he comes to college. We decide he wanted to just focus on pitching. We all felt that was the right thing to do. And of course, Alan Dunn has his throwing program that he develops the pitchers with, and it's been extremely successful through the years. And we've hardly really had injuries throughout the years with the way that Alan has handled those guys. But for Jaden, it was a little bit much for what he had been used to in high school. And so the adjustment was pretty dramatic for him. He started the first 2 weekends of his freshman year and then went down with a sore arm. There was nothing structurally wrong with his arm. We did multiple MRIs, etc. It was just a matter of the muscles getting used to the quantity of throwing that required of a college pitcher. Last year, it was a very concerted effort on Alan and I, along, I should say, with Corey Couture, our trainer, to bring him along slowly in the spring. So we put him into the bullpen. We managed very carefully how many pitches he threw, how many innings he threw, with the idea that we would stretch him out as the year went on. The intention was to start him out in the bullpen, and then ultimately he might have moved into the rotation. Of course, the season got ended before we could realize that expectation. This year, there's no real holding him back. He's going to start the season in the rotation. We may hold him back a little bit more than what Marceaux and Labas do, just because those guys are such veterans and have done it so much. Whereas like opening weekend, for example, say Marceaux and Labas went 5 innings if they pitched effectively enough, we may not have Hill go quite that long and just constantly be building it up. I really want the kid to feel confident not only in his ability to succeed and dominate, but also to feel that he's healthy. So rather than push him too much early, we might just take it a little bit slower than we do with the other guys. And I think he's going to be fine. He's probably the best athlete on our team, and there's no reason why he shouldn't have the endurance and to be able to stretch it out. But we just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. If everything goes according to plan, he should have 19 starts. You got 14 in the regular season. You've got the SEC tournament, a regional, super regional, and hopefully a couple starts in Omaha. So, the first weekend of the season is not going to make or break his season, and we want to be careful about that. Your next question, David, was about Dylan Cruz. Hey, listen, I could sit here and talk all day about Dylan. Dylan is one of those kids that you get to come that arrives at LSU and there's something different about him. LeMahieu had that same aura. Bregman had that aura. Duplantis had that aura, and so forth. Not only is Dylan an extremely talented player, but he has a tremendous attitude. He's as coachable as anybody we have. He works as hard as anybody we have. You can coach him hard if you want to. There's hardly ever a need to, because the kid is so in love with the game, and he has the Bregman qualities as far as his passion for the game. I tell him he has Bregman's passion, but he's got LeMahieu's swing. He hits the ball with such authority to the opposite field. And the other day he hit a home run off A.J. Labas in a simulated game about halfway up the stands in right field, opposite field. You don't see right-handed hitters hit him like that very frequently. So this kid has a lot of talent. Now, of course, LSU fans, when you start promoting guys like this, they expect a guy to hit 100 home runs and bat 500 and never make an out. We got to keep reminding ourselves he's an 18-year-old youngster, and he's going to have some days. The game is a humbling game, and he's going to have days, and one of the things he's going to have to learn to do, because he hasn't had a lot of failure in his career, is be able to manage the failure without losing confidence and so forth. But I would not be surprised at all, because of the maturity level of this kid, that he's going to be fine.
All right, looks like you guys have been putting questions in the chat, so we'll just go ahead and do it that way.
Okay.
I'll go to Glenn West for the next question.
Hello, Glenn.
Hey, Paul. You mentioned some of the new guys that we could see out in the field. I'm just curious, who are a couple of those guys that could really show something early on this season? And I also just wanted to ask about Tre Morgan. He was somebody that we heard a lot about in the fall, about his potential and his future at first base. Just talk a little bit about him and how exciting his promise is.
Well, you pretty much answered your own question, Glenn. Tre Morgan is a kid to really be excited about. Gosh, do I love this kid. I had no idea he was this good when we recruited him, but he's a tremendous ball player. I've coached now, this will be my 39th year. I would put him in a category of maybe 5 first basemen that I've coached in my entire lifetime as far as his defensive skill around first base. I told him yesterday, you might be the first left-handed throwing shortstop in the history of the SEC if I have enough courage to do that someday. But he has those kind of glove skills, to be able to pick the ball and so forth. So in all honesty, I'm a little bit concerned about the left side of our infield defensively. We've got some work to do there. But one of the things that gives me confidence is knowing that Tre Morgan's over at first base, because the throw doesn't have to be chest high for it to be an out. He's got not only ability to pick balls in the dirt, but he's also got a wingspan where he can leap, reach, stretch his footwork on the bag to be able to give maximum distance, to be able to stretch for a ball. He's just got great instinct over there. And oh, by the way, he's probably going to hit second or third in our order. So that'll tell you what a tremendous potential I think he has as a hitter as well. And another just great kid, like the same qualities I talked about with Dylan Cruz as far as his love of the game, his work ethic, his coachability. There's no prima donna in either one of those kids. I tell you, they are all team-oriented, and they just want to be good baseball players for us. I'm real excited about some other freshmen, Glenn. Brody Drost out of Barb High School, I think, is a young, budding Greg Dykman type player. Will Safford out of U High. I have to catch myself from saying little Will Safford, because I say that affectionately because I can look him eye to eye. But Will played safety on a state championship team at U High, so he's tough as nails. And I've used this comparison before, a left-handed hitting Tyler Hanover, for people that have followed LSU baseball through the years. He's just a baseball rat. And whether you put him in center field, whether you put him at third base, second base, wherever you put him, he's going to play just as hard as he can and do a really good job. And I'm excited about him. Jordan Thompson is an infielder that I feel very good about, and I think he's going to continue to improve. I don't know if these next 3 weeks he'll be completely ready to jump right in there or not. The talent is there. There's just inconsistencies right now, and he's got to work on those. The sooner he's able to do so, I think the better his chance will be to be in there rather quickly. So I think those 5 position players are the top guys that we see. From a pitching staff standpoint, I'll tell you, I'm so excited about Garrett Edwards and Will Helmers. And they were probably not the most highly touted guys we brought in coming out of high school, but they just pitched. Both of them have 3 pitches that they can control. They throw just hard enough to be able to be competitive with their fastball, but because they have really good off-speed pitches and command, it makes their fastball play a little bit harder. But Ty Floyd has come back from Georgia and from the Christmas vacation. I think he's made a lot of improvement, as has Blake Money. Blake is really getting himself into great shape, and this kid is a personality that's, just as wide as the Mississippi River Bridge. He's a Todd Peterson #2, if you know what I'm saying about that. So we've got some good, young, talented players that I'm not going to be afraid to use them, and we're going to count on them. And I think the more they play, the better they're going to get.
All right, next question from Jacques. Jacques Doucet.
Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Good morning, Jacques.
How you doing?
Not doing bad. How about yourself?
Not too bad. How many pounds are you down now?
I've been running every morning. I want to look better in a uni. Take care of myself.
There you go. Coach, last year, whatever last year was, so through 17 games, you were batting .253 as a team, and I'm looking at those names. A lot of those names you're going to be counting on again this year, removing Cabrera from that. How did you feel about the way you were moving offensively last year? Obviously, you never got to play in SEC, and the weather didn't heat up and all that stuff. But what are your expectations for a lot of those guys from last year, this year offensively?
Well, that 252 was with a splurge at the end, by the way. Okay, the last 3 or 4 games we swung the bat well. Let me tell you something. If you could stick around and watch the way Eddie Smith works with these guys, it would give you a lot of optimism. Eddie is now in his 2nd year with us, and he has worked these guys like you wouldn't believe. And I see the improvement each and every day. guys that were on our team last year. Guys like, Cade Doughty, for example. Cade Doughty started out the season last year. He was hitting a lot of balls hard, right at people, and so his numbers were not good through the first, 10 games of the season or so. And then all of a sudden the hits started falling for him. He wasn't hitting the ball any better. They just were finding holes. And I think he got his average up to around 270 or so. This past summer, Cade went away and hit 420 in the Collegiate Summer League he was at. This fall, he led our team in hitting. So I think you're going to see guys like Cade Doughty be a lot better. I thought Cade Beloso was not quite as good as he was as a freshman. I think we're going to see him blossom this year. He's getting great condition. He's been, walloping balls out of the ballpark daily in batting practice, showing that power that he demonstrated in his freshman year. Gavin Dugas is coming on great. I think Giovanni DiGiacomo is going to be a real wild card. If we can, and if Eddie can get him to just be a little bit more consistent. He ended up hitting 350, I think, and led our team. But the extremes were way up here, and the extremes were way here as well. If we could try to get it a little bit more consistent, his speed is such a great asset that if he can just put the ball in play, he's going to make more things happen. I think some of those veteran guys, I think, are going to be better. Milazzo's working hard, so is Hayden Travinsky. I think there's going to be some improvement out of both of them offensively. But the thing that's going to give us a better offensive team as well, Jacques, is going to be these young freshmen that I just talked about. Don't be surprised if you see Morgan and Cruz hitting in critical spots in the order right out of the gate. I'm not going to be afraid to throw them right into the fire.
All right, next question from Wilson Alexander.
Is it my turn?
Hey, Wilson, yes. Fire away.
Right.
Good.
Oh, we just
Somebody just walk around and the sensor will bring it right back on.
there we go.
I know my Champions Club.
This is, as far as I can tell, going to be, because y'all are trying to play a normal structure to your season. One of the first attempts to really do that since the pandemic started, at least in college. What are going to be the challenges of getting through that, and kind of how do you plan to sort of approach being able to play 56 games in the midst of what's still a pandemic?
Well, first of all, Wilson, it took us a long time to get to the point that we decided to do this. We started talking, I say we, the 14 SEC coaches, along with the administration of the Southeastern Conference. We started talking about this way back in November, I believe, and we literally had a Zoom call about every 2 weeks. And we looked at every possibility, from 14 weeks of 4-game weekend series, SEC games only, so an entire 56-game schedule. The problem with doing that is the RPI is so important in how they judge teams in baseball for bids, for regional hosts, for national seeds. And when you don't play non-conference games and you're virtually just playing each other, it affects your RPI in a very negative way. Literally half your teams will be under 500. The winning team might only win 60% of their games, and there's no RPI gain because assuming you can win the majority of your games against non-conference teams, then they're comparing you to other conferences. And so we all kind of came back to the conclusion that let's give it a shot and see if we can do it. Now, everybody's had games canceled. Illinois canceled a 3-game series with us. The Big Ten's doing conference only. Just last week, Cal Riverside canceled a 3-game series with us. We replaced Illinois with University of Texas San Antonio. We replaced Cal Riverside with a combination of Youngstown State and Nicholls State. Lamar called and canceled a midweek game with us. Army canceled the first weekend with us. Baylor ended up calling us and asking if they could jump into the weekend with us with UTSA because they had 2 different teams cancel a 3-game series with them, so we've tried to accommodate them. It's really been amazing to see how coaches around the country are trying to help each other out and work with each other, and so we have some unique scheduling things. So the schedule is mapped out now, and now the challenge is to get through the schedule. And Wilson, listen, like there was saying in a movie, there's only 2 certainties that I know. There is a God, and I'm not him. Okay, so I can't predict what's going to happen with these kids, but we constantly are appealing to them about the sacrifices and the protocol that they need to make. And, we're not, our team is a microcosm of society. We've dealt with some COVID issues. We're continuing to deal with them. And I'm sure other teams are as well. So we're preparing our team to have greater depth, greater versatility, so that if all of a sudden a guy or two gets knocked out, that we can almost seamlessly replace that player with somebody that's prepared, so that we can continue to have a very competitive team. And then we also have a roster of other teams that we know that we can call on a spur of a moment. If we wake up on Monday morning and a midweek team calls me and says we can't come tomorrow night, then I'm going to, blast out phone calls and text messages to other teams in the state and see if somebody can jump in and replace them, for the next day or Wednesday, play on Wednesday type of thing. We play a sport that it's not, like scouting is not as critical as it is like in football or basketball, where you need a few days to prepare to play that opponent. In baseball, it's different. I mean, scouting has its value, don't get me wrong, but you don't need 3 or 4 days to prepare to play an opponent. So, if we have to change something very quickly, we won't hesitate to do that in hopes to get all 56 in.
Okay, hope you guys can hear me okay. We've got about a little less than 10 minutes, so I don't want to get everyone angry to ask for a question.
I'll keep my answers shorter.
Okay, let's go. We'll go to Scott, Jared, Ed, and Andrew, and I'll wrap it up. So, Scott Raveloy.
Hey, Rob.
I like how you snuck in that quote from Rudy there. Very good. First of all, how is your health? How are you feeling physically, and maybe compared to last season or in the past? And second of all, obviously there's a lot of reason. It sounds like a lot of reason to be excited about the players you have returning and the new players. But every roster is stacked. It seems like in the SEC and college baseball. From what you've seen across the country, how demanding, how arduous is it going to be to try to win the SEC, much less go to Omaha in the College World Series this year?
Well, thank you for asking about my health, Rab. I feel great. I passed my COVID test yesterday. I get tested weekly. I've not had COVID, and all my tests have been negative, so we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. I had surgery on my neck back in November for a second cervical spine surgery in 11 months. I'm still kind of dealing with, the after effects of that, some headaches and those kinds of things. But relatively, I'm feeling pretty good for a 63-year-old man. As far as the competition in the SEC and across the country, listen, college baseball just keeps getting stronger all the time. And this might be the strongest talent-wise it's been maybe in a few decades. A few decades ago, there were a lot of rules that were in place that allowed for college baseball to really flourish. And then a lot of rules in the NCAA were put in that started to limit what you could do and teams and so forth. But because of the shortened draft, because of the getting an extra year of eligibility, because of the increased rosters being allowed, although the scholarships didn't change, I do think that more teams are going to be more talented than ever before. We're used to this in the SEC. You just have to be a chameleon, and you got to adapt to what is there. It's the same for everybody, so there's not going to ever be any excuses uttered from anybody at LSU. We're just going to keep our standards high. We're going to go out there and compete as hard as we can each and every day, and I think we've got a chance to be as competitive as anybody.
Okay, let's go to the next question from Jared from Reveille.
Hey, Coach. Devin Fontenot has been on a roll. He's been racking up preseason first-team All-American accolades. You had mentioned back in the fall that he had thrown like a major league bullpen type of bullpen, that sort of level. Has he locked in his place as the closer? And if so, how much confidence do you have in him going forward?
It's amazing that a kid that is a preseason All-American and has done the things that Devin has done can seem to be underrated by most people. People want to emphasize, one poor outing or one inconsistent outing or whatever you want to call it. But Devin is now a fourth-year player. He can throw the ball up to 95 miles an hour. His slider's better. His command's outstanding. He has such a better understanding of what he is as a pitcher and what Alan Dunn and I expect out of him. Absolutely, he's our closer. There's no question about that, and I expect him to have a big year. I thought he was on his way to having a great year last year when it got cut short, but he can't do it alone. He's going to need a lot of help in that bullpen. We're going to have, as you know, a veteran rotation, and assuming Jaden Hill, runs with that job and does a great job. But if your starting pitcher goes out there and pitches you 5 to 7 great innings, you got to have somebody that can handle the last 2 or 3 innings of the game. So not having a good bullpen can ruin a season. But I feel confident in our bullpen, not just in Fontenot, but Matthew Beck and Mikhail Hilliard and Aaron George and all those guys that, I know I'm forgetting a couple of guys, Trent Vittmeyer. These guys are veteran guys, and I think some of these freshman arms are really going to surprise people. And we even got a junior college kid by the name of Alex Brady that I think is going to help us a lot. He's a little bit of a Chris Cotton clone from the way he pitches, but I think our staff's going to be solid, and it needs to be. If you want to compete in this league, you better have a great pitching staff.
Okay, we'll try to get let's go to Ed Daniels. Ed?
Certain people. Only certain people will get on.
Somebody hasn't muted themselves, I think. There you go. Thank you. Is Ed still on?
Yes.
Ed, you're muted.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Paul, when you get to a weekend series in the SEC, your starting pitching is so important. I don't know if this is the right term, but based on where we might be with COVID, will you hide guys, or will you, how do you make sure that you keep those guys clean as far as being able to pitch Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Well, that's a good challenge, Ed. It's going to be it's like having the quarterback of your football team. If he goes down with COVID, you better have a good backup. So, we're just going to look. You can't be with these kids 24 hours a day. All you can do is appeal to them to do the things that we think give them the least chance to catch it, and that is, to spend a lot of time in their apartment, keep their social groups small, make sure they're wearing their masks, go through drive-throughs to get their food, and that kind of thing. And hopefully we'll have good fortune with it. But I don't think you can quarantine a guy to a degree where you can absolutely guarantee his health. And we're just going to hope for the best and plan as best we can. And if somebody does go down, listen, if Hill or Fontenot Fontenot, if Hill or Marceaux or Labas or Fontenot, those guys caught it and were put on the shelf for a little while, then somebody else is going to have to step up and do the job. You just got to treat it as though somebody had an injury, and you've got to care about their health, that they come back to health soon and they recover. But in the meantime, you got to get the job done with the guys that are left for you, and that's the attitude that we're going to take as a team.
Okay, we'll try to get the last two in.
Coach Andrew Clay, KATC in Lafayette. I wanted to ask you, I know what happened last March is certainly not ideal and everything that got shut down, but now that you look back 10 months later, can you find any silver linings?
No. No. I just feel terrible for the kids that they missed out on an entire season. And not only our kids, but the guys that were high school seniors or second-year junior college players. And it's been an awful thing for everybody to deal with. And I think the one silver lining, I can give you an answer to your question, is that our players will never take anything for granted again. You have something taken away from you, maybe it increases your love of that particular thing, and you don't take it for granted ever again.
Okay, last question from Scooter Hobbs. Scooter?
Whoa, we can't have a press conference without Scooter Hobbs. Come on.
Hey, you're looking at your roster. You got more players than the football team.
Scooter, Scooter's timeout. Our roster is only 38 guys. It's only 3 above what we normally would have.
Well, I don't know. It just looks like more. Does that present a challenge, dealing with that many kids?
Well, like I said, it's only 3 more than we normally have. We've got a couple of guys that aren't available right now because they're nursing injuries. So you get down to 35 that way. And hey, listen, you know, the good problem to have as a coach is when you have to make tough decisions between good players on who you're going to utilize. The bad problems is when you have to make decisions between players that aren't as talented. So it's part of the game. I've been making tough decisions for a lot of years. The best way to deal with things is just to be upfront and honest with players, and that's what I've tried to do. And, you know, but you can only play 9 at a time, 10 including the pitcher, I guess, and the DH. And, you know, we'll manage it. You know, we've had a lot of experience at doing this, and I think we'll make our way through.
All right, Coach Minary, thank you very much.
Okay, guys, good to be with you all. Say hello to my mother out there. She's listening from St. James Place. Hello, Mom.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Dee. Cool.
Are the rest of y'all hearing Bill? I'm not hearing Bill.
I'm not hearing Bill either.
We can't figure out why you can't hear Bill.
Yeah, we're not sure why. But Ashley,
Yeah.
David Foles is the first question.
David Foles is the first question.
Dylan, David from Rivals.com. Ever since your tweet saying that you were coming and the draft wasn't going to happen for you, you know, those kind of things, the hype train has really started as you're the next guy at LSU. My question for you is, do you embrace those expectations, and just how do you handle things heading into your first season?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the game stays the same between the lines. You know, you could say I had a lot of hype coming in, but, you know, at the end of the day, I still got a job to do when I get here, and, you know, I still got a role to play. I'm going to give it all I can to be the best player I can be. And, you know, I'm very excited to be here with the guys, and, you know, we're going to do what we can to win a national championship.
Dylan Wilson, Alexander from The Advocate. Pleasure to meet you. Can you take us a little bit back into that decision to withdraw and just sort of what went into it, and how did you come to that choice?
Yeah, I mean, it was always a dream of mine to come here to LSU. Like, if I thought about going to the draft, I always thought about, you know, this opportunity that I'd be giving up to come here. I mean, there's no better place to develop than here at LSU. And, you know, I just felt like my senior year I wasn't the best. I wasn't the most the most developed I could be. So coming here, I want to be the best player I can be when I enter the draft in 2023.
Dylan, Coach Minary a while ago mentioned you had a similar aura to a DJ LeMahieu, Alex Bregman, Antoine Duplantis, guys who recently played here. What's your knowledge of LSU baseball and the great players that have played here, and how do you, as a freshman, know that down the line there may be a slump or a bad game here and there, and that handling a failure here or there is key to your success moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I mean, there's always been ups and downs. You know, right now, learning my ups and downs here, if I go in a drought here, you know, in the future when I, you know, in pro ball, I know how I handled that in that situation, and you know, again, when that time comes, I'll be prepared for it. But yeah, there's been a lot of great players here, a lot of great talented players, and I hope to be one of those guys one day.
Hey Dylan, this is Glenn West with LSU Country. Nice to meet you, man. I was just curious, you know, how would you describe yourself as a player? I know, you know, Coach Minary can and other players can, but just how would you describe yourself as a baseball player and what you bring to the table?
Yeah, I describe myself as, you know, a very hard worker. I'm going to leave it all on the field. It's from the first inning to the last inning. Yeah, just I give it all I can. Never going to take a play off, always hustling. And, you know, off the field, too, I'm going to be a good role model, too.
Hey,
Hey, Dylan, I remember talking to you this summer, after your decision, I think it was your expectations that you wanted to become a dude. You wanted to be a guy who could be counted upon. With the expanded roster, that meant more competition. What's it been like to kind of have to be pushed, and I'm sure to continue to be pushed until the 3 more until opening day, but just what's it been like to try to reach a level of play that, to be a starter here?
Yeah, like I said, in between the lines, it's the same game. I don't change anything. I am who I am, and when I'm the same player in between the lines, I'm gonna give it all I got, like I said. But I'm gonna give it all, and I'm excited to play with my players, and hopefully win a national championship.
Any other questions for Dylan?
Any more questions? Oh.
Is the camera going to go? All right. Good deal. Thanks,
Okay.
Y'all hear me at all? No?
They still can't hear you?
Still not hearing you, Bill.
Okay.
Hello?
Do you want me to tell them anything?
Yeah. Introduce Cade, please.
All right, this is Cade, and y'all can go ahead and ask questions. Cade Doughty.
Doughty.
Hey, Cade. Coach said that last year, early in the year, you were really putting the bat on the ball and just maybe sometimes didn't have anything to show for it, right at guys or great defensive plays, and then it started to drop for you. Can you just take me back and take me through your freshman or your first year or last year, I should say, and how things were progressing?
Yeah, I mean, like Coach said, I felt most of the time I was comfortable up in the box, and at the end of the day, looking back at the stat sheet, it didn't really look like I did a whole much, but I think I was really comfortable up there, and towards the end of the season, it started to fall for me, but, the whole time I was barreling up balls, and that's all you could really ask for, so I felt comfortable.
Hey, Cade. Coach said that the infield is starting to come along. The left side's been struggling a little bit, but how confident are you guys feeling overall with that infield?
Yeah, I mean, we're feeling really good. We're working really hard. We have a really good first baseman, Tre Morgan. He's going to be a big help to us on the right side of the field. So I know we're both kind of just going off each other's energy and just bringing confidence and, making every play we can to help our pitchers out.
Hey, Cade, this is William. I wanted to ask you about just your year of being, more comfortable. You were trying a new position. You didn't get, you got 17 games, and you did get some summer down in Florida. But where are you now in your maybe a transition to that position and feeling more comfortable defensively?
Yeah, I'm feeling 100% out there. I feel like I can help the team win and really not be a liability out there. Just make the routine plays and hopefully make some great plays as well to help our pitching staff out.
Cade, how good is this pitching staff? I mean, you go up against them every day, and certainly on paper, it seems to be where you guys are loaded in terms of experience and talent.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have one of the best pitching staffs in the nation. We have experience. We have great freshmen coming in that'll make a big impact on our staff. We have relievers. Looking at it from my perspective, facing them every day, I think it just makes me a whole lot better as a hitter. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to just see this quality of arms in the fall to get us ready for the season come spring.
Hey, Wilson, piggybacking off that, I mean, you've never faced SEC pitching. A bunch of the freshmen who've come in have also never faced SEC pitching. Do you think it's going to take some time to kind of get ready for that, or does it really help to have the arms that y'all have and make up for the lack of experience in the lineup that's going to be there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a little different, but like I said earlier, when we have this good of a pitching staff, I mean, it's going to be hard to face any guys that are better than what we have or have already faced. So, honestly, I think we're going to be fine, even though I didn't experience it last year. I think, facing Jaden Hill, Matthew Beck, all these guys in the fall is really going to help me and to keep in stride in the SEC play.
I'll ask another one if I can. You mentioned Tre Morgan there. What are your thoughts on sort of this general freshman class and what they could do for y'all this season? What's it been like kind of watching them emerge here over the last few weeks and during fall practice?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible just seeing this freshman class come in and have the confidence that they have and the ability that they have to go out there and perform scrimmage after scrimmage. It's actually amazing because, you look at them out there, they don't really look like freshmen. I mean, they're hitting doubles in the gap, celebrating with the team. I mean, it's pretty incredible what they're going to do for this 2021 baseball season for us Tigers.
Hey, Cade, I know you guys have a pretty veteran group. I mean, who are some of the bigger voices that have kind of really stepped up in the fall and into the spring? I mean, you yourself, only played 17 games last year, but you're now a sophomore and probably have some, wisdom to impart on some of these younger guys. What has been the message from some of the, veteran players to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we have our senior coming back, Matthew Beck, our team leader, number 8. I mean, he's been amazing for us last year. And, of course, this year he's stayed on us and, made sure we're working hard. And, obviously, we know the end goal is Omaha. And we make sure that we know that. And also, Cade Beloso has stepped up in a big way this year. Knowing it's his junior year, he's a former 2-year starter, going to go on his 3rd year. He's been working really hard and making sure that we stay on top of our stuff as well.
Yeah, Cade, Ron Higgins, Tiger Rag. When the first time you saw Tre Morgan, what set him apart? Why is Tre Morgan? I talk about Tre Morgan. I mean, from the day one, what did you see in Tre Morgan that you thought, wow, this guy's different?
Well, I would say it was the full day because I saw him field and I was like, okay, that's impressive, really well. And then I saw him get in the batter's box and I was like, oh, okay, he can do that too. So, I mean, he's just a complete player and he really brings a great addition to this team and he can really help us out.
As a fielder, what did you see in him as far as, I guess, helping the other infielders? Does he just make plays on balls that are tough to get to?
Yeah, his glove is amazing. I mean, he can make picks and he makes them look so easy. But, I mean, they're the hardest picks in between hops. Doesn't really matter to him because it's gonna end up in his glove somehow, and that's just kind of really impressive to me. Obviously, just watching him work over there.
Thanks.
Cade, what's kind of like your excitement level looking forward to this season? I mean, you took yourself out of the draft last year and you got 17 games, which obviously was a disappointment for all freshmen. Now you get a chance to hopefully, get a full season in postseason, an SEC series. What are you looking forward to in year 2?
Yeah, I mean, obviously last year was, a bummer, of course, coming into my freshman year. But I think even though I only got 17 games, it gave me a little bit of experience and is kind of going to help me out this year. And obviously I'm looking forward to SEC play, SEC tournament, hopefully Omaha. That's the goal. But, yeah, I'm just really looking forward to being out there with my brothers and, hoping to, make it all the way.
Any other questions for Cade?
I don't think we can still hear you. Because it would come through the speaker.
Yeah, I would hear that.
Okay. All right, Cade, thank you.
Thanks.
Trey, he's not here.
Bill, as the voice of Alec Box, you're going to have to speak up. Son.
Son?
I can't hear a word he's saying.
He moved to his phone, but for some reason we still can't hear him. We're very sorry.
Strength schedule.
You can take your mask off. Hold on.
I can't really see it.
You don't have to see it.
Hmm?
You don't have to see it. You can sit down. And you can take your mask off. All right, y'all. This is Tre Morgan, and the floor is open for questions.
Trey, David from Rivals.com. How much, you've been with Dylan, one of the talk coming out of fall camp. How much fun have you had? And just talk about the adjustment. Has it been easier or harder than you thought from Brother Martin to Division I college baseball?
Well, coming from Brother Martin to here, the workload was definitely much more, but it really wasn't more than I expected. I expected to come here and have to work, but it's been fun having to adjust from practicing for 3 hours to practicing to 6 hours a day. So the workload's been a lot.
Yeah, Trey, Ron Higgins, Tiger Rag magazine. You missed your entire, senior season with the injury. What was the injury, and how that motivate your preparations for this year to finally start playing again?
The injury, I tore my UCL partially. It wasn't a complete tear, so I didn't need complete reconstruction. They just put a little brace inside my elbow to keep it in place. But, what was the next part of the question?
Obviously you had a long time to get ready for this season. How did that motivate you? The rehab and then this past summer to come in just totally ready to play.
Oh, right. The night that injury, I was told what happened to me, it kind of hit me hard, but me and my dad talked about it. We knew that we had to get back to work, to get back to the player that I was and that I needed to be to compete at this level.
Trey, Wilson Alexander from The Advocate. Pleasure to meet you. Following up on that, was it right in your throwing elbow, and how does that feel now? Because it looked like you weren't able to throw during fall practice.
Yes, it was in my throwing elbow. But during the fall, the first couple of weeks I was throwing, it felt great. But then a sudden ramp up in the work kind of tweaked it a little bit. So I just sat out the rest of the fall from throwing. But now that I came back, I got on a throwing program over the Christmas break. Now it's completely back to normal.
Trey, Coach has talked about, Jacques Doucet from Channel 9, by the way, here in Baton Rouge. Coach has talked about putting you and Dylan Cruz in some critical batting spots, as true freshmen. Can you talk about, getting that kind of responsibility as a true freshman?
Really, it's an honor that he thinks of us so highly. But we know that when he puts us in these spots, we have to go in there and do damage. We can't just go up there and act like freshmen, really. We have to go up there and play to his expectations.
Hey, Trey, obviously, this is Glenn Wetz with LSU Country. Just, you've made the move over to first base. That was a prime position for Cade Beloso the last couple of years. I'm wondering if you've picked Cade's mind at all about playing the first base position, at the college level, just kind of maybe what he's told you. And then also just kind of what has been the veteran presence on this team, just how much information are these guys giving you on a daily basis?
Oh, me and Cade have been friends for years, since high school. So when I came here, we talked a lot. He gave me techniques that they do here that I wasn't really accustomed to. But really, our friendship really helped him talk to me and tell me exactly what I needed to do to play first base the way that I'm supposed to here.
Sorry, just a quick follow-up on that. Is there any example maybe you can give me on that? Just kind of what are some of the things that you maybe learned from him or have kind of picked his brain about at this level?
Yeah, it was moving around the bag. When here, they don't want me standing straight up when I'm on the bag ready to receive a throw. The further the throw gets, the more I can stand straight up. But the closer the throw is, I have to squat down a little bit to be ready to move left and right and pick balls and jump.
Hey, Trey, this is Ed Daniels in New Orleans. How long would you say you have been preparing for this moment? When did you first think about coming to LSU and playing baseball?
Ever since I was in the travel ball circuit. Me and my dad had this dream, me, my dad, and my mom, that not a lot of people really thought was achievable. But it only mattered that we thought it was achievable.
So you heard a lot of naysayers when it came to that?
Well, they didn't really talk to me about it. It was just discussions with my dad. He told me that people really, what they were saying, and how we had to prove them wrong, but how we had to stay inside our circle to prove them wrong. Not talk to them, just show them on the field.
Thank you.
Yeah, Trey, Ron Higgins, Tiger Rag Magazine. But some of the things that people were saying, was it like maybe they thought you'd be better at other sports than baseball?
Well, coming from New Orleans, baseball isn't really the talk of the city. It's usually football and basketball, but we went the baseball route. So yeah, they asked why am I playing baseball? But when we picked baseball, we just worked every day at it.
Did you have like coaches in high school or junior high or whatever say, you know, football and basketball coaches, are you coming out? You're going to play for the team? Did you have that?
No. By the time I got to junior high and middle school, they knew I was a baseball player because of travel ball. So they didn't really question me about that.
One last question. What makes you such a good fielder? Everybody raves about your glove work. Is that something you've worked really hard on, or is it kind of a little bit of natural ability also?
No, me and my dad have been working on my glove since I was about 4 years old. He'd back up to shortstop and throw picks at me as hard as he could. And then when I take ground balls, he'd go to home plate and hit the ball as hard as he could at me, no matter how old I was. So that's really helped me.
Hey Trey, this is Bree from LSU Tiger TV. So like you being a freshman and getting that starting spot at first base, and Coach Minary and your teammates have all raved about you, saying like this kid is insane, so talented. So like how does that like boost your confidence and make you just game ready and get your head in the game and have that confidence going into opening night 3 weeks?
I mean, of course it makes me feel good reading stuff like that, but I really haven't proved anything yet because we haven't played a game. So I need to go out there and do it on the field when it really counts.
Trey, I think Coach Minary talked about how first base is not always viewed as a tremendous defensive position, right? But he says in your case it might be different. I'm just curious, what is your take on playing first base and how you impact the game defensively in that spot?
Well, like my dad used to always say, 85% of the balls come to first base. Like whether it's a ground ball that has to throw or the catcher having to drop third strike throwing it to first base. So your first baseman has to be able to catch it no matter where it is.
Trey, sort of a random question. Have y'all been able to use the new virtual hitting lab, and what's it like being in there using that virtual reality to try to prepare?
No, we actually have not been able to use that yet because of COVID. I've just only seen it on my visit.
Okay.
Let's see. Jessica, do you still have a question for Trey?
Yeah, I do. So, Trey, coming into LSU as a true freshman, is there added pressure with all the hype around you, or is it more of just a fun, let's get after it type of feel?
I mean, of course, there's a little pressure coming in, but you don't come to LSU not looking for the pressure. You got to accept that. To be able to play in front of big crowds and big games, and achieve what you're supposed to achieve when you're here.
Okay, any other questions for Trey? All right, Trey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, our next player will be junior outfielder, first baseman Cade Beloso.
There you go.
And David Foltz, you may ask the first question.
Cade, what's up, man? David from Rivals. 2 questions. What are you down right now, weight-wise? Because the talk has been how much pounds you dropped. And then my second question is, what have you seen from Trey at first base that has made? I mean, you experienced this. You were the young player who got first base. What makes him good at that position?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, the question with Trey, you're just seeing such a young kid come in and just kind of have such a mature approach to things. You know what I mean? He doesn't play like a freshman. He doesn't act like a freshman, if that makes sense. He has a mature approach to the plate. He's been one of our best hitters on the team. Kid works extremely hard. So proud of Trey. I knew him previously coming in here, but it's just been so good to see Trey excel and do what he's capable of doing. I think he's going to do great things for us this year, and just happy to have him here for sure. And the other question, down-wise, I lost 24 pounds since Corona.
All right, next question from Glenn West.
Yeah, hey, Cade. Just, I'm curious just what your transition has been like, out to left field and in the outfield. I mean, just how has that gone for you? Is that a spot that you've played in the past and just feel comfortable with? I mean, just talk about all that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah. So I played a little bit in high school, the outfield, mainly my freshman and sophomore year. So it wasn't too bad of a transition. Just worked extremely hard out there every single day, doing what the coaches want me to do. Making different plays in the outfield. Kind of a little bit different than first base. That's a little bit slower paced out there, but you're kind of on your own in terms of go and make plays. So you got to go make them, and just worked extremely hard, and we'll continue to work hard when the season comes and into the season as well. Just trying to be serviceable out there for sure.
And just a quick follow-up. I mean, do you feel like your improved athleticism has really helped you kind of, develop, as a, as like a better outfielder? I mean, do you feel like your body is moving quicker out there and
right.
It's making you a better left fielder?
Yeah, absolutely. I would give the credit to just me becoming more athletic. Being able to move side to side faster, turn around and get the top speed quicker. I think that just goes back to, just getting my body right this offseason is a big credit to that. And I would have to agree with you.
Jared Joseph.
Hey, Trey had talked about his friendship and relationship with you. Could you go into a little detail about that and just say how y'all friendship has been as far as longevity and how it initially got started as well?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, Trey's from New Orleans as well. I kind of knew him a little bit in high school, just playing against him in the Catholic League, kind of working out with him in the offseason a little bit, just hitting sessions here or there, throwing a little bit. Our friendship has evolved so much more than back in the day as well. We're really good friends, root for each other. Both had the same goals in terms of career-wise, want to achieve the highest things that baseball has to offer. So Trey's a great person, and I look at him as one of my closest friends, and I just blessed to have him as a friend, I guess. I don't know.
All right, next question from Chessa.
Hey, Cade. So just kind of talk about your veteran leadership ability. You go from first base, now you're over to left field, but you're one of the older guys coming from originally being one of the younger guys on the team, and now you're in this leader veteran role now.
Oh yeah. So it felt like just yesterday I was the young guy that just came to campus, learning from the other guys. So it's been good. Definitely used some things I learned from guys like Josh Smith and Antoine and Cab and all those guys, Waddy, Clay Moffitt. The list goes on. Just learning from their leadership styles, trying to incorporate them into all of my own. It depends on who you're talking to, whether or not, like if it's a guy that you can yell at and, get him fired up, or it's a guy that, doesn't handle pressure like that well, so you got to take him off this side. I think that's one thing that's evolved my leadership is just kind of, one, you have to know your teammates and know who you're talking to. And I've been through a lot of situations here at LSU in my career, which is a great thing. So just offering any guidance I can to these younger players and just try to help them out in any way I can is that's my job as a leader. So.
Also, a follow-up question to that. Not a lot of guys would give techniques at first base like you have with Tre Morgan. He outright said, like, you taught him a lot of things coming in that he wasn't prepared for. Kind of, what did that mean to you to be able to help someone, especially knowing that he's going to be such a big asset to you guys?
Right. I mean, yeah, you see a guy in Trey and you see the capability that kid has playing first base. You want to help him out in any way possible. And me being here, I know the way Coach Minary likes things done. So I was just, trying to help out Trey. Like, hey, Trey, just look out for this, this, and this. This will help you out in the long run if if you're in this position for this play, whatever the case scenario may be. So I was just trying to teach him everything that guys ahead of me taught me, and Coach Minary just shared his wisdom with me. So I was just trying to give that all to Trey, mold him into, because when I looked at Trey the first day I seen him play at LSU, I was like, wow, this kid's going to be special for sure. Just the way he picks balls, throws the ball, fields ground balls, etc. I was like, I want to help this kid out any way possible because it's going to make our team better in the long run, obviously, and when you have a good team, good things happen. So.
All right, let's go to Bree from Tiger TV, and then after Bree, Wilson Alexander.
Hey, Cade, this is kind of like a funny, lighthearted question. So in the off season, we kind of saw you, especially, and also a lot of your teammates get a little more facial hair.
Yeah.
See that Minary kind of got rid of that rule. So how did y'all feel about finally get to have, I guess, facial hair on the team?
We were super excited. That was one of the best texts I've ever received to this day, the facial hair text.
You took advantage of it.
Yeah, it's growing out a little bit. The guys are excited. I think that's the only time ever we've responded back to Coach Minari's group text. He kind of just says stuff and we listen, but we were all like chirping back, excited. And obviously the shaving rule before that was a rule that's been here for a while. So it was a big deal when it got lifted. So we were pumped.
When did hey Cade, how you doing?
What's going on?
When did he? What was his text? What did it say? And when did he send that?
I think it was sometime in either late June, early July, somewhere in the months of June and July. Was just like, guys, just today and age, I don't want to have you guys restricted anything. Just kind of want to let you guys go free. And we were like kind of confused. He's like, you know what? No facial hair rule. It's gone. So it was a great day.
On a more, not as lighthearted note, I mean, I know you were able to play summer ball, but even before that, I mean, when the season, ended, sort of, what did you do in the months between that and being able to go play summer ball?
Right. So I was actually blessed to have a facility open in New Orleans where my parents live. I was actually blessed to have a facility open so I can get stuff done. I would hit pretty much every day, do some field work probably 3 or 4 times a week, and work out and throw. So, I mean, it was good to get stuff done during that time. And obviously I was running and stuff, just around the house and all that kind of stuff. But it was just good to get stuff done in the COVID pandemic when that first happened, because I know a lot of stuff was shut down and a lot of guys around the country didn't have that same luxury. So I was definitely taking advantage of it, and I didn't really miss a beat.
Hey, let's go to Jared from the Red League.
Hey, Cade, we've talked about your development as a hitter before where, your freshman year you were really pulling a lot of balls and they would shift on you, and now last year you really developed to the point where you could hit to opposite field and force them to play regular defenses against you. What would you say is the next step in your development as a hitter?
Just continue to attack the points you just mentioned. Just spraying the ball over the field. I think that's the next step. Becoming more consistent at that. Just kind of becoming more mature in my approach. And, just becoming the most clutch hitter I can be in terms of driving in runs, coming up with big hits, and in the big situations. So, just coming up with, big hits and big situations, and trying to be the best me that I can be. I think that's the next step. Is just, you can never be consistent enough. That's a thing that's said around here by Coach Minary. So you just want to be as consistent as possible.
All right. Any other questions for Cade Beloso? I'm sorry, Jacques. Jacques has a question. Go ahead.
Yeah. Cade, just, last year, you guys only played in 17 games, the team average is around 250, and a lot of you guys that were in that lineup are back this year. How do you feel collectively how this offense will be this year? And Coach has said, obviously, Tre Morgan and Cruz will play a big role in that also.
Right, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think our offense is great. We've got a bunch of great hitters, a bunch of talented hitters, and people who work extremely hard. I don't think there's another hard-working hitting team in the country like ours. So I'm just so excited to see what we can do as an offense this year. I'm getting chills just talking about it right now. I think we're going to, do great things to back up guys like Jaden Hill that I'm looking at in this room right now. All that pitching staff, we want to provide for them. Last year's in the past. We don't really want to talk about that anymore. We've definitely moved on and matured from what happened at the beginning of the season. But, I'm just so excited to get going and get ready, start barreling balls all over the yard and winning some games here soon.
Okay, any other questions for Cade? All right, thanks, Cade.
Thank y'all.
You can
Our
go talk
next
to Bill if you want.
player will move over to our pitchers now, and our first pitcher will be right-hander Jaden Hill. And let's see, once Jaden's ready, I will go ahead. David, you can go ahead and ask your question.
David from Rivals.com. Coach Minary talked about how when you were in high school, pitching wasn't the biggest priority in terms of your health or just preparation and all that kind of stuff. Now that we're 3 years in at LSU, do you feel finally that maybe you're a college pitcher now in terms of preparation, recovery, strength? Do you finally feel like you kind of got your footing now?
100%. It's been a long process for me coming from a small town with not a lot of knowledge on baseball and me not having throwing programs and, things like that. So coming here, having AD with me every single day, having other pitchers, being able to get insight from them and coming to the field every day, having the experience, it definitely helped me to where I am now.
Follow up real quick, Jaden. How much do you battle the impatience of, Coach, give me the ball, I'm going 9? Like, how much is it a battle for you where I know I've got to start small to be where I want to be at the end of the season?
Not really. The goal here is just to compete whenever your name's called. Whenever Coach wants the ball in my hands, I go out there and I have a job to do. I don't really care for roles and things like that. No one on our team does. We all just want to compete and help the team win.
Hey, Jaden, Wilson Alexander, hope you're doing well. Sort of like you were saying, your freshman season starts in an injury, and then last year you start building up and then it's canceled. What's it like for you to finally, here in year 3, probably a lot later than you actually expected, to actually face the prospect of being in the starting rotation for an entire season?
It's exciting, just for all the work that I've put in through the COVID period and through the summer. It's been long. I had a lot of adversity, but it made me who I am today. And so moving on forward, I know how to deal with adversity, and we'll just keep it rolling.
Hey, Jaden. So I know it was disappointing whenever the season got canceled last year due to COVID and stuff. So what did you do in that time off, that extra time off that y'all had, to make sure you stayed on top of your game? I mean, that way you secured this, this starting spot this season.
Right. So before the season, I reached out to Anthony Renato. He pitched here in 08, 09. And so I really liked his social media, the way he carries himself. So I reached out to him, and me and him, we got together, had a few phone calls. And so we started hanging out and we started working out more. And so throughout that period, he became a mentor for me. He helped me train a lot and really just figure out a lot about my body, about, mental health, the physical side of things. So I really took an extra step in my game and who I am as a person. It really helped me develop into a starting pitcher because I haven't done it since my freshman year. So I did a lot of training, a lot of work on stamina, and just figuring out who Jaden Hill was.
Hey, Jaden. Hey, Jaden, it's Glenn West with LSU Country. You mentioned, just the preservation of trying to go longer in games. I mean, I don't think you had many games where you've gone longer than 4 or 5 innings. And with you expected to be a starter this year, just how much of the process this offseason was about, conserving energy and learning how to conserve your arm, to last 7 or 8 innings and maybe not go 110 miles an hour, for all the early innings to kind of save yourself for the later part of the game?
Right, and so whenever I first started the process, I thought that's what it was about, was conserving, but not really. You know, I just need to build stamina. I had to work out extra hard. I need to train differently, and just get my body in shape. And I really focused on long tossing a lot, building arm strength, and that's what it was. If I conserve, then I'm not giving myself the best opportunity to get hitters out. So my goal is to give 110% every single pitch until coach takes the ball out of my hand.
Jaden, if you can, talk to me about the strength of this pitching staff overall. The starters, and then we've seen what Devin Fontenot can do out of the pen, and just top to bottom. How much, pride are you guys taking and moving forward as a group here?
Very much. I mean, obviously, we all know what Landon Marceaux and A.J. Labas can do. I mean, those guys, they put on a clinic every time they're on the mound. It's clockwork for them. And then Devin, of course, if you can get the ball to him in the 8th, 9th inning, the game's over with. Devin's explosive, and his breaking ball stuff is amazing. And then the freshmen that we have coming in, they're really going to make an impact on our team. They came in the fall, ready to play, and so it builds the entire staff's confidence because we have to work harder. It's a competition for everyone. No one spot is guaranteed. Everyone has to work harder, and so I think we'll be a great staff completely.
Ask a follow-up if I can. Jaden, I know you're, sort of asking about your family a little bit. I know your mother's a nurse. What was it like sort of over the last, since the pandemic started, your family's experience going through it with her being kind of on the front lines of this thing, if you could speak to that at all?
Yeah, shout out to every mom, family member, anyone close to you that went and worked in the pandemic. It really takes a lot. It says a lot about you, the bravery doing that. And for her, I was scared for her, but she's such a helpful person. She just wants to help people, and she didn't care the risk that it took to help people. And so I'm thankful that I'm from a small town, so it wasn't as bad. If one person gets it, the entire town knows it. So, but for the most part, I was nervous for her, but, she just wants to help. And that's what her main focus was.
Hey, Jaden. Jared Robin with the Reveille. The draft hype around you has been very real. What is that, social media interactions, things like that, looking at some of those draft boards, what has that process been like for you with the player of your caliber?
Mainly I've just been focused on taking on this starter role. That's what a lot of my life has been, training and getting prepared to give my team the best opportunity to win. So I've been training really, really hard throughout the offseason to be the best starter or pitcher possible.
Yeah, Jade, Ron Higgins, Tiger Rag. Was it Anthony who hooked you up with that guy, the positive thinking guy you told me about before? Was it Anthony?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. They were friends, and so it's called the Positive Vibe Movement. And Matt Bonnick, he really helped me out a lot. He really opened up my mind to the mental health, to the stigma around mental health, and it's a real thing for not only athletes but people, every person. And so it's definitely something that needs to be taken serious. And if anyone ever needs help, you need to reach out and try to get help for that.
Have any of your teammates kind of gotten into that too, or have you persuaded them about it a bit?
Not necessarily persuade them, but I changed my attitude. I want everything to be a smile. I want everyone to be happy. I want my life to be built around positive vibes, not negative energy. So I just try to bring that to the locker room because people feed off that. If your energy is good, the next person may be having a bad day, but that picks them up to keep it going. It's a real thing. It's very cliche that people say, was it energy vampires? You don't want anyone sucking away the positive energy, but if you bring that, then it's just a kinetic chain. It's just a chain, and it keeps going. And so that's what I want our locker room to be.
Jaden, I'm interested to know how much you, Landon, and AJ, a lot of people are saying that's the projected starting rotation. How much do you drive each other, and you want to not outdo each other, but the healthy competition amongst teammates? How much does it drive all y'all to be better?
Every day, because I know in the back of my mind that at any moment they could take off, so it's here every single day. Each and every day I know that they're working hard. I know they're in the training room. I know they're in the weight room, and every throw is with conviction. Everything they do is meant to get better. And so I know I have to do that same thing to even be in the same category as those pitchers.
see, has everyone gotten their questions in? Anyone else for Jaden?
I follow up if I can.
Go ahead.
This positive vibe movement and working with Anthony. At what point, really, after the season got canceled, did you really start focusing on those things? How soon after was it that happened?
The same day that we found out the season got canceled. I talked to him before the season started, told him I wanted to train, figured this was the best opportunity. So as soon as we got the tweet that the season was canceled, I called him right away and said, let's get to work.
Did he come to work with you in Arkansas, or was it all virtual?
No, I stayed in Baton Rouge. He has a gym at F45, so we just used it and he has one at his house as well. And so we just kind of used whatever we could to get work in.
Thank you.
Let's see. Jared, do you have Jared or David? All good? Okay, thank you, Jade. Guys, quick announcement. We're scheduled today to have AJ Labas and Landon Marceaux also participating, but they both have some schedule conflicts that have come up. So we won't have Labas and Marceaux today, but if you guys need them specifically at some point in the next week or so or prior to the season, I'm sure we can arrange some type of contact, but we just won't have AJ and Landon today. So next up, we'll go to our graduate student, Matthew Beck, wearing number 8 this season and continuing that great LSU tradition. Questions for Matthew? I believe Bree is up first.
Hey, Matthew. Congratulations on getting number 8. I'm sure that's a huge honor for you. If I remember correctly, I believe you were here back in 2017. Correct. When last time you guys went to the College World Series. So being in that season, having such a great team like that, going to the College World Series, how do you feel about this team and having kind of that same mindset in order to get there again?
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously, now on this team in 2021, I was the only member to be a part of that 2017 team that's been to Omaha. So obviously, I've used the experience that I've gained, from veteran leaders that were here when I was a freshman, like Jared Poche, Alex Lang, all those guys that have played such an integral role in teams, and use that to motivate and inspire and just consistently reiterate the level of commitment that it takes to get to Omaha.
Hey Matthew, this is Glenn West with LSU Country. Just talk a little bit about your journey for the last couple 4 years. I mean, first couple of years, you don't really see a whole lot of the on the field playing time. Last couple of years, it's really kind of picked up for you. I mean, just kind of talk about your journey here a little bit, and just kind of how you've gotten to this point to where you can be a senior leader and a major contributor out of the bullpen for you guys.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel like my journey here has been full of the highest highs and the lowest of lows. I've gone through so many things with a mechanic standpoint and everything to that effect that's really, allowed me to grow as a baseball player and more importantly as a person. I found out a lot about myself in those tough times. And, I found out a lot about myself during the great times. Just consistently trying to be the same person every single day, bringing the same effort and the same attitude and the same energy that, it takes to inspire a team and lead a team, that like I alluded to earlier, that I saw so many people do when I was a freshman and sophomore. And, just bringing those same ideals with the twist here or there, with a personal twist here or there, and just trying to motivate this team and our team to, do what it takes and do the extra to get back to Omaha.
Hey, Matthew, Jacques Doucet, WAFB Channel 9. Kind of lighthearted question for you. Are you now kind of the Zach Von Rosenberg of the team? You get the old man jokes a little bit. I know you're not 30, but it seems like you've been here for a while.
I get crushed. If only you could hear the locker room. And the funniest part about that, I'm not even the oldest person on the team. Aaron George is older than I am, and I get crushed, Aaron George and Nick Storrs both, when Nick was here, they're both older than I am. I'm like, hey, man, come on. Take it easy on me now.
Just to follow up, Matthew, you've obviously pitched with a lot of great guys. I mean, just collectively, tell me about this pitching staff and how good you guys can be.
I mean, if you look top to bottom, I think this is the most talented pitching staff that we've had here in my time. And I'd go back for a while saying that it's one of the most talented pitching staffs that we've had. And, it's such a special group, too, because there's such a level of, not getting complacent and not, patting ourselves on the back for how good we could potentially be. We're always, searching for the next best thing, searching for, tidbits of information that could help somebody in a game, in practice, whatever it may be. So it's a very special group in that regard, and I think, we're going to determine our own destiny. I think we can pitch it with anybody in the country, and it's just a matter of executing our game plan and executing the things that we can control, and I think we'll be right where we want to be.
Ron Higgins, Tiger Rag Magazine. How long? There was like a 2-week gap from the time that they called the season off until the NCAA passed the rule that you could come back for another year. What was that 2 weeks like?
It was terrible. I mean, it was the roller coaster of emotions, thinking I may have played my last game on a midweek game, March 11th against South Alabama. It was that realization that I had to stomach that was a very real possibility. And obviously, once we found out, in between those 2 weeks, it was terrible. It was not a fun time to be thinking about baseball and thinking about, feeling sorry for myself, honestly. And but once they came out 2 weeks later and said, that they're granting the seniors another year of eligibility, I mean, it felt like the biggest weight was lifted off my shoulders, and I was able to just relax and enjoy. I hate to use the word enjoy, but just sit back and do my part during the quarantine.
When they called the season off, I guess toward that weekend, weren't y'all playing golf? And you and a couple of guys playing golf, but out at LSU was playing golf.
So we were March 12th. It was that Thursday. We were headed to Ole Miss, and they told us to pretty much go home. And so Cole Henry, Cole Henry, and Eric Walker were playing golf at Santa Maria. Just thinking maybe we have 2 weeks off, just get in some golf. And that's when we were on the 7th hole. We had just teed off, and we saw the tweet saying that the College World Series had been canceled, and not shortly after that, Coach Minary sent us a text saying the same thing. So it was. I remember it like it was yesterday, and from that point, we just cashed it in and got our rain check on the back nine and left and went home.
Matthew, talk about having a pitching staff that could be one of the best y'all have ever had. So many things sort of worked out for it to happen that way, like with the shortened draft. Devin came back for reasons like that, and you came back because of the eligibility extension. I mean, at this time, like before last season even started, did you think a year ahead and could think that was even that it could still be intact like this?
Obviously, it's such an interesting dynamic. We've never had in a group return this many guys. Obviously, we lost Cole Henry, who's a big part of our staff, but we had somebody right behind him that was willing to step in and take the reins. We've returned so many guys that have played such a huge part in so many games throughout their career. Obviously, you mentioned Devin, the amount of things that he's done, Jaden, Landon, AJ, Trent, just to name a few. And then we have a group of freshmen that, obviously, like you alluded to, we got a few guys that we weren't necessarily expecting to get due to the draft. And once they shortened the draft, we got some guys on campus that are ready to compete and ready to get dudes out immediately. So it's made for a very interesting dynamic, and it's been so fun to be a part of. At the same time, it's been so fun to sit back and watch how talented some of these dudes are, and the amount of stuff that they have and their skill sets and how it's unique to each individual person. It's been awesome to be a part of.
Does that, if you don't mind, Paul, in some ways make this season for y'all, just at least as a pitching staff, almost feel maybe like an extension of last year because it's so many of the same guys and you'll actually now get the chance to really have a full season as a staff, or does it just completely feel like a new year, new group?
A little bit of both, I'd have to say, obviously, because like I said, we lost Cole Henry. So everybody came back, and, there's that out for vengeance almost mentality from the guys that have returned. But then there's also that breath of fresh air with all the new guys that we've gotten in. So it's a little bit of both, I would have to say. And, I think it's made for such a great mindset amongst our pitching staff. There's that, the hunger for getting back out there and competing. And then there's those new guys just learning and searching for the answers that, some of us older guys have experienced throughout our time here.
Yeah, y'all have, as Ron Higgins again, Tiger Rack. I think you have like 20 pitchers on your staff. What's the meeting room like? Did you have to like get an extension for it? I mean, 20 pitchers.
It's pretty much up in the bleachers more times than not, just to abide socially distance-wise and everything like that. You know, and it's crazy because typically we'll have around that 17, 18 number, and obviously with the extended roster we're allowed to have a few more. But, you know, we have 20 guys that are healthy and ready to compete, which is different than years past, obviously, when injuries and just various reasons take place. So it's been awesome, honestly, and it's such a competitive environment, but it's such an environment conducive to learning and feeding off of each other and, you know, just really wanting to compete and wanting to have the ball in the biggest stages.
Last year when the season ended, you were really dialed in. I mean, what was it about last year when you started that year that you were so dialed in, and how do you feel like you can recreate that?
No doubt. I think it just had to do with my focus, knowing that, you know, this could potentially be my last year playing baseball. Obviously, speaking back to last year, you know, and just that focus that I had to bring to the field every single day, and the energy and the effort that it took to compete at a SEC and a championship level. You know, and I think that played huge dividends for me last year, and I've brought that same mindset this year, and I've tried to reiterate it to the guys every single chance I get that, you know, to be a championship staff, to be where we want to be at the end of the year, it takes that effort and it takes that focus every single day that you touch the ball.
Okay, let's see. I think Joseph, you up?
Hey, Matthew, I know you talked about how confident you are in this pitching staff. I know that goes into the depth and the amount of people that you have available to you. You also hinted at how you lost Cole Henry, but you have the prospect of gaining Jaden Hill as a starter on, you know, in the rotation. So what is it like to be able to have him finally in that opportunity, and what do you think about the confidence it adds to the pitching staff?
Are you talking about Jaden as a starter now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Jaden obviously is one of the most gifted athletes that I've ever got to see in my life. I genuinely believe that he could toe it up on a Friday night, go play basketball the next day, and then have Sunday football practice. I mean, I think that's how talented he is. You know, but it on top of all that talent, it's a culmination of so much work that he's put in. He has worked extremely hard every single day and committed his body and his effort and his time. And I heard him talking about earlier his mindset to taking on that workload and being a Friday night guy that we can hang our hat on every single day.
Okay, Jacques?
Matthew, is there any early feedback on walk-up songs? Who's got what? Was it too early for all that, or what's that looking like?
We actually just sent them in yesterday, so we've heard a few in the locker room, but not the full go. So it'll be interesting to see. I know Alex Milazzo is notorious for having a good one. Beloso is as well. So they've got some funny ones, I know, but I'll let that be a surprise.
Oh, Wilson, another question?
Yeah, if I could, real quick. I mean, how soon after the NCAA said you could come back did you decide to come back, and what went into that decision for you?
I mean, it was pretty shortly thereafter. Obviously, Coach called me pretty much as soon as he got the news that we were allowed to come back, and we obviously had to discuss, you know, what my academic path would be, and obviously I settled on getting my master's in business administration. So it was that, and then you know, it was a pretty easy decision. I felt that there was business left to be completed. We haven't won a national championship here in 12 years now, and you know, it eats at me every single day. I think about 2017 every single day, you know, watching Florida dogpile right in front of us and lift the trophy that, you know, I thought was ours. So it was a very easy decision when I think about that every day. And you know, obviously these guys, our time was cut short last year, and I think it's such a fun group of guys. It's such an interesting dynamic because we go out there and compete against each other every single day, and I hate to say it gets heated, but I mean, it's people competing with everything they got, and at the same time, 30 minutes later, we're in the locker room cutting up, having fun with each other. So, I mean, it's such an interesting dynamic, and it's so fun to be a part of. So it made that decision very easy.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else for Matthew? Great, thanks, Matthew.
Thank you, guys.
You bet.
Thank you for for not saying what the Wildcat songs are.
Oh,
yeah.
All right, guys. Our final player today will be senior right-hander Devin Fontenot. Devin has already received first-team preseason All-America recognition. So go ahead with questions for Devin. David Fultz.
Devin, David from Rivals. Two-part question, really. How much of a focus has it been this off-season and in the fall about extending you to where you can get the ball maybe for an inning on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and then what went into that? What were the details of? Was it more in the weight room? Was it mental? Just kind of give some details about that.
To start off, I mean, it's just obviously getting that arm strength built up, because we took all that time off last year and didn't get to play all the rest of the season. But mostly just getting the arm strength up and continue to work on the changeup and making sure I can command 3 pitches. I haven't really been told what role I'm going to be pitching in this year, but I'm willing to bet I'll, continue throwing at the end of games or, in those situations where I've been pitching in the past. But since the changeup's coming along a little bit better, I might get extended, like you're saying, a little bit here and there.
Hey, Devin. Jared Brotman with the Reveille. Throughout your years here at LSU, you faced your fair share of adversity, from that first rough season in your freshman year, the Florida State game, obviously, where you pitched your butt off and, it just didn't go our way at the end. And then last year with the COVID, how has that adversity throughout those 3 years strengthened you to this point?
Like Beck was hitting on, just the focus that it takes to, just come out each and every day and know that it's a new day and you're going to have something new to face. It's never going to be the same thing. So just trying to do my best each day to help the team and not worrying about what the future holds. Just living in the moment,
Hey, Devin, I got a two-part question. First of all, just the decision to come back and have a full season. You had a good season last year, but obviously it was abbreviated.
Right. Well, obviously I didn't want to end my time here at LSU after 2 years and a third, and it kind of would have made it easy to come back since the draft was shortening and all that. And I didn't feel like we accomplished everything we wanted to accomplish here, and I feel like I still had some things that I wanted to, leave a legacy on. So just wanted to come back to help this team and be a big part of this team again this year, and also finish the degree up. That's most important.
And the second part would just be, as a guy with the experience as a starter in a reliever, what do you kind of embrace about the reliever role and coming into games, stakes are high, pressure may be up, and running on to save a game? How do you feel like you flourish in that kind of role?
Well, I'm one of those guys that just comes in and as max effort and stuff like that. So it makes it easy for me to come in and be able to get my arm loose quicker than maybe a starter would have to get his arm loose a little bit more. But I've just taken advantage of the opportunities that coach has given me, and whether that's been starting games or closing games or relieving games, whatever it may be, and just done my best.
Hey, Devin, I don't know how much live pitching that y'all have done this spring, or if any, but just what is your perspective of the offense and maybe some bats that have really improved from last year, and then some bats that you think are really going to help get this offense really back on track?
Oh man, well, our bats maybe not have been talked about, but they are definitely good, and there's obviously some new guys on the team, and Dylan Cruz and Trey and Brody Joss and a couple others that obviously did well this fall and so far this spring. And, we got the returners, those guys. And, there's just a lot of guys with a lot of experience and knowing what it takes. And I think that they're getting coached up well by Coach Eddie, and they're going to do the right things and score a lot of runs, get a lot of hits.
Hey, Devin Wilson, I'm again from Nappy. I hope you're doing well. Paul said back in the summer that there was a team looking at taking you in the 5th round, and then they took someone else. Did that make it easier for you to come back?
Yeah.
Not even, that you would have had to take the undrafted money that was a lot smaller this year. Did that kind of end up playing into that decision?
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned that I had a call in the 5th round. That is true. And when that happened, obviously I got excited, as any kid would, but it didn't work out the way that I thought it was going to work out. So whenever they chose somebody else, it was obvious to me that I wanted to go back to school, because just one of those things, you have a chip on your shoulder. You want to come back and you want to accomplish more things, and put your name out there, help your team. So yeah, it made it easier for sure.
Y'all obviously ended up, follow up if I could, losing some folks through the draft: Cole, Daniel, Zach, and a couple of recruits. But for the most part, got to keep a lot of your teams. That kind of, a good feeling to get another crack at it with a lot of the same guys. When the season shut down last year, it seemed like you might not ever get to play with each other again.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. Only losing 2 guys to the draft has made this team almost like the same team, plus 14 new freshmen or something. So it's made it pretty fun and interesting as far as the dynamic goes. But we got a lot of guys on the team compared to other years, but everybody's good. Everybody's competing their butts off. So if one guy's playing and you're not playing, you're just going to cheer him on because he's going to get the job done.
Hey, Devin, I just wanted to ask you about that super regional at Florida State, being in that moment and pitching as well as you pitched and the crowd noise and all those different things. And if you ever circle back to that moment in your mind and be like, this is where I want to be again in the future, try to get us to the World Series, be back in that super regional spot. I'm just curious, how much has that been part of your career in terms of your confidence and everything moving forward?
Yeah, that was definitely a turning point for me, obviously. Just to go out there and leave it all on the line every game, ever since that game, I just made it a point to, don't hold back anything. You got to give it your all every game because, sometimes I had to face some challenges and I was trying to figure out why, I wasn't pitching as great as I knew I could, but it was because I was just holding back a little bit. So that was definitely a good turning point for me. What was the other part of the question?
I think you pretty much answered it, but let me just ask you this, just top to bottom, this pitching staff, how good can it be, and how excited are you trying to be the shutdown, the closer?
We're really, really talented. We're really good. Obviously, there's been, some talks of the weekend rotation, but that's been, that's been set for a long time, and we know that, Jaden's going to come up there and take the lead for us. He hasn't got the pitch against the SEC team yet, I don't think, but he's ready for it. He's definitely worked for this, and we know that we're going to be able to follow him throughout the whole season. And obviously Landon and AJ are going to do their job right after him. And then we got so many other guys that can pitch in midweek games or, come in and pitch whatever inning it may be. So we just got so many options and so many guys that can do so many different things. So I don't think we have any worries as far as anything, but as long as everybody stays healthy, we're going to be good.
Devin, there are several examples of people putting a lot of trust in you and you kind of earning the right to be the closer. I think you're one of the few guys that had some postseason honors last year, second, third team All-American, and then listening to Coach Minary in the fall talk about the potential for you out the pen. Some of your teammates have come back. Just what's it like to kind of earn that trust on a moment's notice? You can go there and take care of the business, take care of the job that may be given to you.
Yeah, it's been nice. Every team that I've ever been on, and you obviously have to earn the trust of your teammates and your coaches. And I think I've done that. since I've been here, but it definitely makes it nice, knowing that they have your back and they have that confidence in you. But I still give the thanks to and my glory to God for the ability that I have to do it. When coach challenges me and when teammates challenge me, I can meet the challenge in a timely manner instead of not meeting it for a while. And I think that's just I glorify God for being able to do that.
Okay, Ron Higgins, you have a question?
Just with this pitching staff, but there's like 19 or 20 guys. What is that dynamic like to have that many pitchers? I guess just from the standpoint is you're going to have to have an extra bench in the bullpen. How does how are you being coached with that many players? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I think they did put an extra set or two of benches in the bullpen already. But it's definitely fun having that many guys because you get to learn a lot about different pitchers that have different styles, different mechanics, different pitches. So you can learn a lot of stuff from each other if you just talk to each other. And it just, like I said, it makes the competition better, makes you better. So all in all, I think that, having a bigger staff is better.
Hey, Devin, Jared again. You, Mikhail, and Matthew Beck, have all been together since, your first year here. Is there a different dynamic between the three of y'all versus the rest of the bullpen? Like, how close are you guys after all this time together?
You got to throw Trent Vittmeyer in there too. He's been there since the beginning as well. Me, Trent Vittmeyer, and Mikhail Hilliard actually lived together in summer school in fall of our summer 2017. So it's been a while ago. I think Trent Vittmeyer still looks a little bit older then than he does now. Still looks like an old man, but we've had some good times together, us four. But other guys is in there too. We get to see each other every day, and it's been fun building relationships with those guys.
Devin, for the LSU fan base, for the opponents, especially in the SEC, it's going to seem like, oh my God, Devin Fontenot's been at LSU forever. I'm interested to know, what have you learned, and how are you different from that kid who arrived on campus to now?
I feel like I've learned just more about myself, and how to be a bit better man. How to have better habits and stuff like that as the years went on, whether that's baseball related or personally. But it's definitely good to be here for 3 or 4 years, instead of just one and transferring or two transferring, because you get to meet your full potential, So I've just taken it by the reins and just taking it one step at a time. And lived in the moment, like I was saying, and just tried to have the most fun that I can.
Okay, I believe that's everybody. Anyone else for Devin?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all. Thanks, Devin. Okay, guys, that will conclude the Zoom portion of today.
That was good job.
As you may have noticed in the email I sent